What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. And today we are going over 10 things DC wants you to forget about Superman. Number 10, Superman was a jerk. Okay, he might be the most recognizable superhero ever, but he is very far from perfect, and even his friends would confirm this. Take, for example, Jimmy Olsen, who is supposed to be Superman's buddy. Well, let's just say burning Jimmy's presents or making him marry a gorilla doesn't seem so friendly. The duo might have started the whole thing as a mutual prank game, but at some point it was all reduced to Superman being a jerk. One time, he was even ready to let Jimmy and Aquaman die of dehydration in the middle of the desert, even though he could have picked both of them up and take them to drink water in no time. Another non-heroic thing he did was revealing Batman's identity, thus breaking the unofficial superhero code regarding the importance of their secret identities. Oh, yes, and he tried to kill his sweetheart Lois Lane as well. Number 9, Superman has some really awkward powers. Among the numerous powers Superman possesses, there are some of which that are useful in a way, but not so attractive, like his super breath allowing him to inhale and exhale enormous amounts of air. However, there are also some powers which are simply awkward. In the 1980s classic Superman 2, he uses his emblem to trap people by just throwing it at his enemies. Then there was the Super Kiss, which we all probably want to forget. By using a Super Kiss, Superman basically can make people forget some things. Once, he used it to confuse Lois Lane, who found out about his identity. But wait, you haven't even heard the most awkward superpower yet. At some point, he could even fire miniature Superman from his palms. They were supposed to represent and accumulate his energy and superpowers, but they still seem ridiculously awkward. Number 8, Superman burned down an entire neighborhood. If you still haven't realized Superman can be an incredible jerk, this might change your mind. In Action Comics number 8, published in 1939, Superman concludes how slum neighborhoods make children become criminals. In order to change this, he simply decides to destroy the poorest neighborhoods in Metropolis. He does inform the residents before he wrecks all the houses, but still, geez, this issue turned out wrong in so many ways. As Superman goes wild demolishing people's homes, he claims that the government will now have to build better and nicer houses. Should we believe him? The story ends with the info that much better places are now built. Yet, houses do not grow overnight. So, what has Superman done to help the residents who were left homeless thanks to him? This issue was certainly one of those stories where Superman goes kind of mad and acts pretty illogical. Number 7, Superman shot a porn. Superman has actually made a sex tape with Big Barda, who is the wife of another superhero and Superman's own friend, Mr. Miracle. Superman and Barda were hypnotized and misused by sleaze, who wanted to sell the sex tape on the intergalactic black markets. The couple made the tape and allegedly had only a vague memory of what happened between them. They managed to stop the whole thing, but to make things even more awkward, Mr. Miracle helps them. None of them have seen the tape or ever wants to talk about it again. Considering the numerous awkward moments in the plot, I guess neither do we. Number 6, Superman has almost destroyed the world by having sex. Of course this happened with Wonder Woman. She was trying to cheer Superman up after he got beaten by Batman. Now, the two of them have sex, but of course, you wouldn't expect them to make love as normal people. No way. They do it in the skies, and they shake things up for everyone. As they start doing their thing, they cause catastrophes, an earthquake, a hurricane, and a volcano eruption. Eventually, Wonder Woman compliments Superman, telling him he could populate the entire planet. Wonder Woman immediately gets pregnant after sex and wants to grab some food. Number 5, Superman caused a chain of legal disputes. Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster created Superman in the 1930s, and in 1938 they sold it to Detective Comics, the company that would later become known as DC, for $130. In 1944, Detective Comics published a Superboy story, partially based on Siegel's earlier submitted script, which was rejected at first. They did it without informing Siegel, which triggered a whole chain of legal battles. Since 1947, when Siegel and Shuster tried to claim the rights back to Superman and Superboy, there were several phases of the whole thing. They renewed the lawsuit in 1969, and it lasted until 1974, and they lost it. In 1975, Warner Bros. Agreed to pay a yearly check for Siegel and Shuster. Long story short, this long legal struggle was a super mess. Number 4, some people believe Superman is somehow related to Nazis. The tricky thing with the classic superheroes is that their comics became very popular at a tricky time, which was around World War II. Superman was accused of being the depiction of Übermensch. The Übermensch is actually the concept of a superior human introduced by German philosopher Nietzsche. Nietzsche's idea of physically and moreover morally superior human was misinterpreted and misused by the Nazis, who saw themselves as the superior beings, or to say, Supermen. A lot of people seem to see a little connection or correlation between Supermen, who were the Nazis, and Superman. Although we won't ever have a confirmed answer if this is true or not, it's up to you to believe it or not. Number 3, Superman was seen as a propaganda character as well. Another theory about Superman that makes sense to some people is that he was actually used as a propaganda character during the years of the war. Coming from a different planet, Superman can be seen as an immigrant in a way. At the same time, he was among America's favorite superheroes. That's what made some people think Superman was used to motivate the immigrants who came to America to join the army and fight for the nation. Don't forget how pop culture and media do have a big influence, especially during the time of a crisis. In the war context, Superman was allegedly used as someone who would persuade the immigrants to participate in the war. Number 2, Superman's unusual hairstyle. Get ready for this one. It's actually a fact we want to forget, but DC might not want us to forget, really. At some point in the past, after the death of Superman, Superman was back with the craziest hairstyle ever, a real classic mullet. As if this wasn't awkward enough, Superman had a mullet for years after that, until he married Lois Lane and decided it's time to get rid of the weird hairstyle. Let's just say the 90s were a fashion mess and we can understand the mullet then. But what about now? During the last summer, Zack Snyder gave an interview mentioning how Superman's hair in the upcoming Justice League should be longer. Some fans believe that it means the mullet will be back. I guess we'll have to wait a little longer to find out. And number 1, we have Superman's sweetheart was overweight. The Silver Age had many awkward moments which might correspond with their own time, but today are kind of unusual. In the issue number 5, Lois Lane gets hit by a growth ray and becomes overweight. Not too overweight, just slightly, but obviously enough to trigger a variety of offensive expressions all over the issue, all of them referring to Lois Lane's modified body shape. Are you wondering who made this happen to her? It was Superman himself. He did it without her consent in order to use her and catch some dirtbags. Calling her quite a load doesn't really ease the situation either. And finally, although he can fly and lift up pretty much anything, he actually shows he is physically struggling while holding Lois. That is just messed up on a different level, Superman. As always, thanks for watching the video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, do not forget, please don't forget, leave a like and subscribe for more. Follow me on Twitter at Valenplana, and I'll see you all later.